on who Stalin was and what happened to Stalin. Joseph Stalin. He was a commander in the Russian Revolution against the White Guard. The White Guard were the imperial czarist running the nation at the time, and Stalin's most famous victory against the White Guard was in Tsaritsyn. He was integral to squashing the White Guard under the Soviets' hammer, and after the Soviet Union was formed, Vladimir Lenin led the nation until he died in 1924 in January. From here, Stalin picked up the reins as the leader of the Soviet Union against Lenin's wishes. Stalin was a well-known commander, and this made many people jealous, and thus political rivals were common against Stalin. This made Stalin paranoid, afraid that he would be assassinated. Due to this, he initiated the Great Purge. He initiated the Great Purge to prevent his assassination. Anyone who opposed him or seemed too loyal were executed. Some years later, the Nazis attacked on an offensive Operation Barbarossa against the Soviet Union. But the Germans were met with overwhelming force and, well, they were crushed by the Soviet winter. The Nazis were now forced into a defensive war on two fronts against the Allies in the east and the Western Soviet forces advancing on the Reich. Once Nazi Germany had become small and split back into its republic form, it was split into a green Allied side and a red communist side. This was a great victory for communism, and the streets of Russia were on fire with celebration. Soldiers who were POWs in the war were returning home from the war, hoping to see reconcile. But instead of seeing reconcile, Stalin would execute them for surrendering in the field of battle, and he would ruin their families socially. It was clear to many at this point that Joseph Stalin might not be that sound in the head. And now it's time to dip into his deep history. Stalin had a family. He had 3 kids, and his wife of a long time ago, back in 1907, long before World War I happened. Ekaterina Sumedzi, pretty sure that's how you pronounce that. After only 8 months of marriage, his wife was struck with typhus and died in his arms in 1907. At the funeral, he said this exact quote: "This creature softened my heart of stone. She died, and with her died my last warm feelings for humanity." From here, Stalin started losing his reason. He became paranoid. Friends were enemies, and morality was lost on Stalin. His brain was shattered and on fire from the man he used to be. And during a purge, he executed his wife's family. It is clear to us today, Stalin was troubled, a tyrant. He was a ball of volatile emotion, and many believed he should be killed. He didn't even care about his children. He truly lost all feelings of humanity when his wife died. And his reign continued until he died on March 5th, 1953. No one ever knew for sure how Stalin died. Many believe he died of old age. He was 74 at the time, but for a 74-year-old, he was still very strong and mobile. A documentary I watched some time ago used evidence to say Stalin was poisoned by his head of security, who was secretly against Stalin's reign. Either way, Stalin's security team found him the next morning, slowly dying in a puddle of his own urine. Stalin may have been a bad man, but his story is an example of how hardships can make good men worse than any man before him.